Okay, so what we're diving into today, it's less like a report and more like a personal diary. It's a firsthand account of something that's almost impossible to believe. And the story starts, as they so often do, in a place that feels very far from our world. The author's story begins in total isolation, deep in a forest where the world of people just feels like a distant memory. And it's right there, surrounded by all these ancient trees and silence, that they find something that just shouldn't exist. At first, there's no real understanding, just pure wonder. The creature they found was small, quiet, and seemed completely harmless. It wasn't scared, it didn't try to run, it just looked up. It was this moment of just calm, simple connection. And then the stunning realization hits them of what it actually was. A baby Argentinosaurus, literally one of the largest animals to ever walk the earth. So right from the start, you've got this unbelievable tension between this tiny, innocent thing and the absolute giant it was born to become. In a moment that would change, well, everything, compassion just won out over common sense. Looking at the small, helpless creature all alone, they made a decision that defied all logic. It was a choice that came from the heart, not the head. So in the beginning, life was simple, almost peaceful. The days just fell into this easy routine. It ate, it slept, and it grew. The one really surprising thing was its appetite. I mean, it had to eat constantly. But for a little while, it all felt manageable. But here's the thing. This wasn't the slow, gradual growth of a normal animal. This was something else entirely. It grew fast, unbelievably fast. And that's when that sense of wonder started to turn into something a lot more like alarm. The change was just relentless. I mean, every single morning, it was noticeably, shockingly bigger than it was the day before. The word small was quickly becoming a very distant memory. And then it crossed a line that was just impossible to ignore. I mean, imagine that. An animal living inside your house that grows to the size of a cow in just a matter of weeks. That's the moment this secret little wonder becomes a really big, unmanageable problem. Its neck kept getting longer, its steps heavier. With every move it made inside the house, you could hear the floorboards start to creak and groan under a weight they were never ever designed to hold. You could almost hear that sound, can't you? The wood just protesting. What was once a shelter quickly became a prison, really for both of them. The house was just too small. It couldn't turn around without its tail knocking things off the walls. Its head was always brushing up against the ceiling. The safe place had become an impossible space. Eventually, they had to take it outside, but the backyard was only a temporary fix. Pretty soon, this private secret became a public spectacle. Neighbors would stop, they'd stare, they'd pull out their phones. But the creature, it just seemed to exist in its own world, totally unbothered, just kept eating, kept growing. After a few more weeks, the word big didn't even come close to describing it. This was something else. It was enormous. It was now taller than the house itself, with its neck reaching above the tallest trees. It wasn't just a creature in the landscape anymore. It was the landscape. And that's when it became more than just something you could see. When it walked, you could actually feel the ground moving under your feet, this deep, rumbling tremor. It wasn't just a living thing anymore. It was a physical force, reshaping the very earth it walked on. That was the moment the final illusion just shattered. This was not a pet. It could never be a pet. And facing that terrifying, awesome truth, there was only one desperate option left. Try to move it to a massive wildlife reserve. For a little while, there was hope. I mean, the reserve was huge. Just wide open plains, no buildings for miles. It really seemed like a human solution could still work. A way to keep it safe and to keep everyone else safe from it. But even all that space, it wasn't enough. One day, it just stopped. It stood perfectly still, lifted its head way above the trees, and just stared into the distance. Like it was searching for a horizon it couldn't see, for a world that just wasn't there anymore. And that's the saddest realization of all. Even our biggest spaces were still just a cage. Then, one night, under a full moon, everything changed. The stillness was over. It started moving, but not aimlessly like before. This time, it was moving with a clear, undeniable purpose. The ground literally shook with each deliberate step. The huge steel fences around the reserve, fences that were designed to hold back any normal animal, they started to tremble and groan. Our man-made barriers were just meaningless against a force like this. It only took a few more steps toward the boundary, and the fence just collapsed, utterly and completely gone. For a second, everything went quiet. Then it just walked right through the wreckage and out of the reserve. It didn't run, it didn't attack, it simply kept walking with that same quiet purpose. There was no anger, just an unstoppable natural force moving forward. It crossed fields, it crossed roads, it crossed forests, just walking right out of our world, and then it was gone. So where did it go? Deeper into untouched land? Over the mountains? Nobody knows for sure. The story ends, but the legend, that's just beginning. And looking back at the massive footprints it left behind, one thing was painfully clear. It was never meant to live with us. It was never meant to be contained or controlled or even understood by our world. It was so much more than an animal. It was a force of nature from a forgotten time. It was Argentinosaurus. And the final, humbling truth is just this. Nothing on this planet, nothing we could ever build, was ever meant to contain it.